Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name is Eric, and this evening we will be talking about Speak No Evil. This is a remake of a movie. What was the original called, John? Was it called the same thing?
Yeah, Speak No Evil.
Yeah.
No speaking.
And the main question tonight we will be discussing is why? Why are we here, John? But that's going to be in a little bit. First up, joining me from Manhattan, New York, the very safe Manhattan, New York City. Please welcome John Schnarch to the show.
As long as you're not a CEO today, you're feeling fine. No, look, I don't like the joke. It's very sad. For real.
Where were you this morning, John?
It's crazy. We were talking pre-show about the city bike. I was riding a city bike down the same street that the other person was riding the city bike, like within a 30-minute window. Damn. You wouldn't have known anything was going on. I mean, there's fucking cops all over all the time anyway, so.
It's true. Next up on the show, another place where I assume there's cops all the time. From the Bay Area of San Francisco, please welcome Matilda to the show.
Hello.
How's the cop concentration where you live?
You either get 0 or 7 when you call. Like it's never the number you want. You know, there's never the number of cops.
Which is like 1 to 2. Yeah. When you got a situation, I got it.
You want like one mellow one, and you get either none or 7 kind of off the hook ones.
Yeah, at that point,
you get body cams are working.
Right. At that point, you get the group think going on, and that's not good for anyone. Mm-hmm. Next up on the show from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello. And don't worry, we have Barney and Wilbur. They share a gun, so we're well covered.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. I bust Casey's chops, but I grew up in a town that literally had 2 constables, which aren't even real police officers, and they can't arrest you. So,
can they hit you with a baton though?
I don't know. They could break up high school parties. That's about mostly what they did. And if they pulled you over, they couldn't write you a ticket. They had to call a cop from a town over to come and write you a ticket.
If they broke up the high school party, did they take the beer with them when they left?
Oh, yeah.
Was it like, hey,
always.
We got a good one here?
Yeah.
We got to confiscate this shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are here tonight to talk about Speak No Evil. Let's take a quick break and do just that.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
I'm kind of torn here tonight, John, because as we'll find out, did not care for this, but I do have a huge man crush on James McAvoy, so I did get a little bit of that action,
Obviously.
He's looking swole.
Not even a man crush, just a regular crush.
Yeah, just a
crushing on him.
Did you know, John, if I read this correctly, he was not the original choice to play the role, and he basically signed on like a couple weeks before the movie started. Like, he was ready for this with no prep. They basically just were like, "Hey, can you do this?" And he's like, "Yeah." The good thing for you, I'm jacked right now. So,
I was gonna say, when did he start his
steroid regimen? Yeah.
Yeah. What else has he got coming out?
How long was he on trend before they shot this? I'm guessing 6 to 8 months. Yeah.
I guess ever since what was the M Night movie, Split?
That's the one where that was where this started for me.
Yeah, but he wasn't beefy then. Now he's beefy and jacked.
He was very beefy in this. This is the most beefy.
He's he's on the rock diet. What was the cod?
Cod.
Oh my cod.
Pure cod. Yeah.
Just nice.
All right. Let's do it, John. Please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is Roman holiday. Sort of 2 words. It's like a phrase, you might say, but has its own definition here. Roman holiday, an occasion on which enjoyment or profit is derived from others' suffering or discomfort. Roman holiday comes to us. This was one of the things I was curious about. So it comes to us from a Byron poem. You remember Lord Byron, one of your faves, probably.
Yeah, I'm very cultured. Yes,
19th century. The poem, I wasn't, I mean, whatever, I'm not that familiar.
I've
but,
heard of Lord Byron, for the record, John. Do I really know
Childe
what that means?
Harold.
No.
Yeah. It was originally a reference to a holiday given for a gladiatorial combat. So it's like a tongue-in-cheek phrase, Roman holiday. It's like the Roman Empire. I actually didn't know what it meant, so I was curious to look it up. And it's very apt for this year film, I would say.
Is this the first time you've ever used 2 words, John?
I would have to look. I think there's been some phrases.
Almost
defined.
800 episodes in, and our standards are starting to slip.
Yeah, well, you know,
This is how it
it's-
starts.
America is
Slippery
kind of
slope.
going down the the tube.
Yeah,
so.
like no one. The word of the day isn't even sacred anymore. That's
I know.
that's how far
It's
we've
hard.
gone. Yeah.
I'll when we have a second, I'll go look. I'll find you the last time I did a phrase with more than one word.
Please,
Uh,
John, why don't you, before you do that,
Mm-hmm.
before you go off on a side quest I sent you on, please
Sure.
tell me about Speak No Evil.
Yeah. Speak No Evil. As you mentioned, this is a remake. The original film, which we covered on this here podcast, was only 2 years ago, 2022. I believe it's a Shudder production. Like we watched it on Shudder, but the original film is in Danish. I think it's Danish, right? They're in Denmark. I was trying to look. The brothers.
so.
There's a pair of brothers, Christian and Mads Taftrup, Tafdrup. They are the writer-directors. So Christian directed, and then they co-wrote. They're also credited as writers, obviously, on this version. But yeah, they're from Denmark, and the film is set there, the original. Here, James Watkin is the director and also wrote the script, the revision. He's done a bunch of stuff in the genre. He did a Black Mirror. He did The Woman in Black. You remember that joint?
I do.
He did this movie Eden Lake, which I've never
Black
seen.
Mirror. Wait, did you say he did a Black Mirror?
He did a Black Mirror,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
He did this movie Eden Lake, which I've never seen, but has been on my to
Oh,
watch.
it's very good.
Yeah, I've
Yeah. I
heard
mean,
a
I
lot
know
of
people
good
like
things
it.
about
Found footage?
I don't think it's found footage, is it?
Oh, what am
Eden
I
Lake?
thinking of? God damn it.
I don't
No.
know. It's
I
like
remember it has a redhead lady on the cover.
yeah.
Oh, never
it's-
mind. That's not what this is.
I think it's like a lost in, or
John,
in a
you know
cabin.
who's in Eden Lake? Michael Fassbender. My other man.
yeah.
crush.
Yeah, there you go. Your other crush. So James
well as-
Watkin, he's
As
the
well as
connective
Thomas
tissue for you.
Turgoose.
Mm-hmm. Well, so James Watkin. Here's the layout, and you can go listen to our 2022 episode about Speak No Evil OG version, and we're going to cover a lot of the same ground here. It's a pretty faithful remake to a point. You have 2 families here. Their names are the sort of main characters are Scoot and Mackenzie. Is that right? Scoot is what he's called in this. Scoot and Mackenzie, and they have a daughter, Alice. Or no, sorry, Scoot is the actor. Ben
Yeah.
and Luis are the characters, and they have a daughter,
Both-
Agnes.
Both actors from *Halt and Catch Fire*.
I did see that. I thought you were going to be excited.
Yes. Although they're very much not romantic interests in the show, to a degree that it was strange for me to see them, because it's the only really thing I've seen that dude in, especially.
Well, here
weird,
they are
John.
a married couple. They have a single daughter. They're living in London. They're on vacation in Italy, and they meet another couple, Patty, the aforementioned James McAvoy, and then Ciara, who's played by Aisling Franciosi. I think that's how we're gonna pronounce her name. Who we've seen a ton of recently. She was in Stop Motion. She was the Nightingale in The Nightingale. Other things. I'm not looking at her page right now, but she's been around. They sort of become friends on this vacation, the way you do, sort of when you're at a resort and there's other couples around. They have a son who can't speak, and they sort of give this excuse that he has some genetic thing where his tongue is too short or is underdeveloped. And they hit it off in Italy, and so they're then invited, Ben and Luis are, to go visit Patty and Ciara at their house out in like the Westlands, I think they call it. It's basically like rural England. And so they do, and they go out and they visit them. It's out in the middle of friggin' nowhere. They have a kind of rambling old manse in out there, and it's like sort of fun, but then gets like kind of awkward the way that it could when you're just like making new friends. But there's just like weirder and weirder shit happening, and Patty is like vaguely threatening at all times, and not just because he's like a roided out like meathead.
Oh my god, and it's why he's so good in Split. He is so unsettling.
They're just like, just chew it up, bro. Just go. I think that
It's
was like
it's a
of the
very
direction.
similar performance, honestly. It's like, just simmering under the surface.
Well, he's been sitting around like pumping iron since Split and was waiting for the phone to ring, I think. And so here we are. But so things start out as just sort of like, this is a little weird, like they're kind of like saying weird shit about like wife swapping to us, like we might want to get out of here. Meanwhile, Ben and Luis, like their relationship, we come to learn, was like sort of on the rocks beforehand. And
which I don't remember from the original.
No, that's okay. I mean, there might have been a little bit of that, but like there's a lot of plot here that was new. And so I'm trying to, like, we can kind of call it here because I think we should wait and talk about where this thing turns pretty hard away from the original. But eventually what is just sort of like a weird psychological thriller, like, is there like some slight peril here, turns into like, they're about to be serial murdered. That is revealed in slightly different ways here that, we can get into. And,
you know what I was just thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there actually a lot of English in the original film? Because isn't the deal that like that's the actual language that they're from different places, but they can all speak English. So there's actually a lot in it.
Yeah, I think one of the couples is English in the first film, and the other couple is in
Denmark.
Yeah, from Finland or Denmark or something.
Yeah. Well, they live in Denmark. Yeah.
Yeah. Matilda, what'd you think?
I came into this cold. I had not seen the first one.
Oh, this is I'm so interested then.
Yeah, so the trailer gives most of this away, I will say. If you've seen the trailer, you've kind of seen this. I still had a fine time. I don't think I need to watch it twice. But James McAvoy does really eat this up. He's great / terrible in this role. And this movie has really interesting ideas. It did make me want to go back and watch the first one because I feel like it has a lot of potential in the ways that it looks at kind of like middle-class social norms about being non-confrontational and how those prohibitions against directness get people in trouble.
So just to really quick do you know what happens in the first one and like what makes it different from the second one?
I read that and I suspected it. I suspected it because the end of this, which I'll talk about, like, is maybe my least favorite part of it. Like the third act of this one feels very it feels very American, in a lot of ways. I don't know. I also think this has I'm curious to know about the first one, if it's the same way. Like, there's something really interesting about like the way that these characters are grooming this whole family to see if they'll override their own kind of like anxiety, their own instincts. But in this version, it seems to have a lot to say about like masculinity and back to the land authenticity kind of stuff. In the way that Ben admires the Patty character and the Patty character keeps shaming him. And there are times in this one that I don't know that I'm totally sure whose side you're supposed to be on about that. Like it does.
Yeah.
Because they have moments.
You're not
because
with
there's
Patty.
moments. There's moments where fleeting moments where they bond or something, right? Like when they're primal screaming or like whatever.
Yeah, where you're like,
it's fleeting though. It's always like just enough of, and that's what both of the movies do is like it's like they're always giving them enough normalcy for a moment to just kind of reel them back in and then slowly ramp. It's like this slow process of like over and over.
Yeah. But I do wonder about the Danish one, because what I kept thinking about is that this is like a high stakes horror version of like the dynamic between Clark Griswold and Uncle Eddie.
Oh, interesting.
There's some version.
I mean,
because
Matilda,
it's
You're
so
not wrong.
Matilda, given like what you do professionally, I think the first film, because most of this movie, like 80% of this movie is a carbon copy of the first film with like some small changes
Okay.
until you get to the end, the last 20 minutes. But both films, but I'm going to give credit to the original, but it is a very interesting experiment in the idea of like slowly pushing someone's boundaries and seeing how far you can go. I mean, that's
Yeah.
essentially the whole idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now the original, we can talk about it, but the original does a much better job of driving that all the way home into the finale than this one does. But yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's a little bit more what I wanted. Because
You're in for a
I
great
could
time then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
You definitely need to watch it.
A great / terrible time.
yeah, you'll feel sad,
yeah.
but
Yeah, unsurprisingly, because of what I do for a living, I really loved the way that this looks at like anxiety and the way that each family member is trying to override that anxiety, and the kid is being taught to override that anxiety. And like the turn comes, like the parents really show up for her in the moment that they're like, no, show all your anxiety, be as anxious as you need to be, that is appropriate in this. So, there's all that kind of stuff around like the
there's a
gift
whole
of fear,
thread
like we should pay attention.
There's that whole thread with the bunny, and yeah, it's like her
Yeah.
comfort
Yeah.
thing, but they don't want her to have it, and like, oh, mostly the dad.
Yeah.
Casey, what did you think?
Yeah, so it's fair to say I'm a big fan of James McAvoy, Scoot, and Mackenzie Davis, all three of them. I think they're all great actors, so I was really excited about the cast in this. I'll say it was worth it just for that scene of James McAvoy singing Eternal Flame to Scoot. It was beautiful. But no, I really like this movie. I'm really on par with what Tilly was saying, that, the first 80%, 70% of this movie I really liked. I got really into it. I thought it even flowed a tiny bit better than the Danish version with the strength of the actors that we're working with in these scenes and playing off of each other. I think that really gelled really well. And it's hard with seeing the original before. It's, you can't not judge against that. And so it was curious to see that it was near carbon copy, like frame for frame, throughout most of this movie. But there is a turn that we'll get into later, and that's where it kind of falls apart for me because it feels weak. I was texting with Eric and John last night, and the word that came up was flaccid. And I thought about that after you guys said that, and I think
John
that's
said
exactly
that.
right the way to say that.
By the way,
the
yeah.
right thought on it.
I just
there.
knew
You
Eric
hit
would
that
like it. So
You hit that switch from the original, and it just kind of goes limp.
yeah,
I'm easy, John.
So I had a very weird situation in watching this because I watched the first like 45 minutes in the first sitting, and then I was falling asleep, and I was like, all right, I got to pick this up tomorrow. And I was texting, and Eric and Casey can keep me honest on this. I was like, guys, I think I like this movie. Like I was pretty,
And what did I
pretty
say?
into it. You were just, I think you said just wait or something like that.
I said
You
wait.
I have
Yeah.
thoughts.
I-
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
But
you
no,
did
but
say
when
wait.
John
say
said, I
wait.
think I'm into it, I knew he hadn't finished. I was like, you just wait.
Well, because I think Casey, you're totally right. This almost does improve. Not almost. It improves on the original in some ways. I think it looks really nice. I think the budget was probably like at least 2x, if not 3x, right? Like the cinematography, is really well done. The acting is all great. Like they got, name actors that we know and who can really bring it. And again, that's not a knock. Like I thought you can go listen to our episode. I love the first film. It was in my top 10 that year. I think it was in our staff top 10. When it was all said and done. I can't remember what the exact moment was where I was like, oh no, like this, you know what okay, so and this is one of those things where I can't remember exactly what happens in the first one, and it's not that I didn't like this only because of where it differed, but Matilda, you sort of called out, and that's why I was so curious how you felt. Like the end of this is very pat. It's like very by the numbers.
Yeah.
It's almost crazy to me. So this was Blumhouse produced. It's almost crazy to me that they saw the first film. This Christian Watkins saw the first film, obviously loved it. Like they clearly saw something they liked and were like, we want to bring this to a bigger audience, because that movie was not a big movie. It's like on Shudder, but it's not like it got some big platform. They saw it and were like, we want to celebrate this movie. We want to remake this movie. And they fucking take the thing that makes the first movie.
Can I be
so
honest with you
intense.
though? This
Yeah.
ending, and we'll get into it deeper, but like it reeks of studio testing.
Yeah,
It feels like an appendage. And by the way, John, did you look at the runtime?
Yeah, well, it's the devil's runtime.
Devil's runtime. It's
on
an
the
hour and
nose
50.
too. Yeah, I
And you
know. I
feel
did
it.
see that.
You're just like,
Well,
this is still happening? Why the fuck are we here?
But here's the thing. So maybe they did do the full shoot shot for shot
Maybe,
and
right,
tested
yeah.
it.
That's me being charitable.
But it's also like, in what universe do you even need to remake the movie then? Like,
Yes.
if you're because the first movie, you can show that to the test audience. They're going to be like, holy fuck, that was like the grimmest thing I've ever seen. It's very grim, Matilda. I'll just, I'm just going to spoil it for you now. But like, that is what makes it stand out. Like, that is what makes it a special experience in a lot of ways. Like, not special, like, whew, it's like special, like, I'm never going to forget the end of that movie. Never.
Mhm.
And so,
And it's
this
a- it's
movie, I've
largely
already
because
forgotten.
it's largely because of the ending. I mean, it is a
Yeah,
very
no,
memorable
totally.
film, but it's the ending just seals the deal.
Yes, correct. No, so the scene where this thing really, where all of a sudden I was like, oh, we're in like the bad version of this movie. It's really the very first scene where they like capture them. So whatever, James McAvoy, Patty has everybody tied up and they're in his like garage. It's super poorly lit, like poorly being it's too light, like it's not low. You can see everything. It's like, wait, what movie are we watching? All of
It
a
feels
sudden?
like you're in a different movie.
It's a complete almost smash cut, and it becomes like, oh, we're gonna like give you this drug, and then the daughter takes the syringe, and like that the mom has the like razor blades, you're waiting for that, and then it's like that happens. There's like 40 minutes, or not, maybe not 40. It's like 30 minutes left in this movie of them running around the house. I don't know. Like, so
The more we talk about it, the more I'm convinced that was a reshoot.
you
And
think
I'll
they
tell
just
you
like
the other
reshot the
reason
entire
why.
thing?
Because they have the creepy babysitter character. I'm honestly
He never
convinced
comes
it was.
back.
Right.
I'm honestly convinced it was the same actor. Honestly, because he looked so similar.
That's
But now I'm
interesting.
like, but in
I don't-
you're talking, and I'm like, I felt like when it was over, it was very strange that character did not come back, considering they do all the same stuff. It's like really creepy and weird that they leave the kids with them. But
Yeah.
that guy doesn't come back, but it's this rancher dude that's like the bad guy with him. It's very strange.
It's not the same actor, just to be clear, but it is the same exact name. The character has like virtually the same name.
I'm getting more convinced as we talk.
No, I did clock that.
It feels
the
so
babysitter
different.
did
It's
not come
crazy.
back,
Yeah.
and instead you have the like dude
Like
who, cooked
tonally,
them that
visually,
meal.
pacing, it's just like out of nowhere.
So did you guys ever? I mean, have you ever seen the original Straw Dogs and or the remake of Straw? Because like this
No.
I didn't
felt
see
like
the
the
remake.
remake of Straw Dogs to me in a similar way, where it's like they more or less remade a movie. Straw Dog, the original Peckinpah is like a classic, but they you remake it. It's a super violent movie, like pretty great. It's very similar. Like people are attacking a house and you're trying to defend yourself, yada yada. But I don't know, like it's here they like take all of the interesting shit and just rip it out, and instead try to replace it with basically like an action sequence that just doesn't work. You also have these like kids running around, and like at that point they're not killing the kids, so you're just like, where's the tension in this?
At the
So-
point that
Yeah.
they make it, because they make it about robbery and not child trafficking, basically. And at the point that you figure that part out, you're like, you're new to the whole thing. Not that I want to watch a child trafficking movie, but like that's what makes the
Yeah.
original so impactful. Is it's so fucking dark.
Well, they're
by the end
still
of it.
planning to to do the child trafficking part, but they're also
I
like robbing them.
I
ahead
do
of
not
time.
think that's textual in this.
No, it is because there's this whole Patty has the whole thing where he's like, and this was the other thing that's added here is that Patty and the wife are like actually not getting along, whereas in the original, it's like a natural born killers, like they're like they play this game together and they're like in it together. Here, she's like, I. You see him hit her in that same scene in a way that's like she's kind of and then in the end, at the very end, he gives his like final speech where he's like, "You killed my whatever Ciara, like now your daughter's going to be my Ciara or whatever it is."
Yeah,
like,
but does that suggest trafficking?
well, they say he gives the whole speech where he's like, "Ciara always wanted a baby, and so like." But it just doesn't stick. So like we have to get rid of this one, and now we're gonna try this one. Like there's that implication is part
Yeah,
of
I
it.
think it's much
Well,
more
and she
explicit
says,
in the ending of the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I agree with
So-
you what you said earlier, Schnars, that they kind of turned it into more of a serial killer thing here.
Yeah. Well, that's in the
Honestly-
first one though. But sorry,
Yeah,
go
but-
ahead, Eric.
Not even serial kill. It's like they're just
There's more
robbing them.
context.
They're just taking their money and using the kids as bait. That's all I got from watching it, honestly. Like they're using the kids to get the couples.
But why
visit
keep the?
so that they're not
you're
threatening.
saying
No, I
like
knew
you
they were,
keep
I
the
figured they were
second
going for
kid.
kids.
You
Yeah.
keep the second kid just to like keep doing the ruse of like
Right.
capturing another family.
Yeah.
Right. Because
I
it
see.
makes you look more approachable, more innocent to like have a kid. And you have to keep swapping them out because the kids are going to keep getting older and you need like a younger kid. That's my theory.
They have
anyway.
the trophies. They still have the trophy room. Look, it's sloppier here.
They just
in the
neuter it.
original. In the original, it's like they're in this for the fucking killing and the like stealing of the kid, and whether or not the kid is just there to like keep rolling it over. They like treat the kid like it's their
Yeah.
kid at least at
So-
some point.
This movie is butt. It's butt. And it's not what you guys are saying about the content for most of it is correct. Like it's just as tense. It is I mean, like the thing that pulls you through this is like that is the acting. It's Mackenzie
Yeah.
Davis and it's
Aisling, whatever her
it's
name is. last name.
McAvoy and like they're these are like good American actors and they're bringing a lot to the roles.
I think
and
he's
I don't-
British.
Well, whatever. He's American. We'll claim him. It's like when you're talking about remakes, at some point you just acquiesce to like they're going to remake shit, and you go through this thing though. If you're going to remake this, like in this case, if you're going to change it, you better make sure you make it even stronger and not neuter it, which is what they did. It feels like such a hard shift. The original is like such a slow burn, and it literally just builds up until just that very final scene. And it's what it does is though it thematically takes that idea of like slowly pushing someone's boundaries until you're like basically get them to kill themselves, and it plays that out to the most absurd degree straight to the last frame of the film.
Mhm.
So that line in the original, which is in the original where he says because you let us, is so much more impactful because they're literally standing on that beach in their underwear about to be murdered, and they're just like slowly figuring it out even as we are like in the finale. Whereas this, like 25 minutes before the movie ends, they figure out fully what's going on, and then it's just this very like Hollywood like back and forth fighting, and like
Yeah.
it is crazy how hard this movie falls off and how bad it fucks up the third
Well,
act.
and just really quick, because you
crazy.
mentioned it, the fact that they use that line again, I almost blew my top. I
Well, it doesn't
couldn't
have
believe
any
it.
of the impact or the meaning, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so thematic to how the first film plays out. And listen, you know me, John, I'm not a big fan of a subtitle,
Mhm.
but like I would
Yay.
take the original over this thing any day of the week. Like it's just I can't understand why, given the way it turned out, I can't understand why you remake it. That said, like it also is a kind of movie that I just don't like, which is movies where all the tension is based around very intense awkwardness. Like I have trouble sitting through movies like this. I remember complaining about that in the first film. It
Mhm.
is hard to sit through this type of awkwardness.
Oh yeah. I was
I
dreading it before I hit play just
Yeah.
because of that.
Well, do we want to talk about you guys tricked me. You guys basically put this in the calendar and then didn't give me a choice.
Oh,
Oh,
please.
come
There
on.
was full disclosure.
John was like, "You agreed," and then I was like, "John, show me a text where I agreed." And he went back and he's like, "Okay, it was more like we talked about it and you didn't say anything."
Yeah, which is that is, you know, I
It's
did
usually
that.
an
That's
acquiesce.
acquiescence.
I will say once again though, this film is proves my theory that vacation is dumb. And also, if you're gonna go on vacation, why are you talking to people? Do not talk to people on vacation. Like, just keep to yourself, and nothing like
Oh
this
my
will ever happen.
God.
There's no
You are
chance in
too
fuck.
much.
First of all, there's no chance in hell I'm making friends with a couple on vacation. Fucking period. Second of all, they send me a postcard, I'm calling the police. Like, I don't want this. There's no way I'm going. It's so absurd to me that they went out to their house. And by the time the end of the movie, I literally was like, how many fucking days have these people been at their house? It's been like a week. Like,
Yeah,
does
it was
this
like a
need to
long
They
be-
talk
weekend.
about a week.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. So it's a little absurd for me just on its face. But, you know, I just don't know why it exists, especially considering that the first film does have so much English in it. So if you're like a loser like me who doesn't love subtitles, like, it's not even that big a deal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matilda, have you ever made friends on vacation?
Only if the vacation is like a retreat. Only if like
Mm.
we're meant to be in group together, then yes.
That is
But not
sort of
like-
what is happening here because they're at like a small kind of almost like B&B situation. So you're like eating all
Like
your
a
meals
Black
together.
Lotus deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I
See,
will
I'm
say
so-
that it does make me nervous because this Saturday night, Mr. Matilda's birthday present is we are going to like a historic lighthouse in the middle of
Ooh.
the ocean, and we are getting taken there by boat, and then there is like a chef's table thing. So I don't know what's going to happen now. It was a weird movie to watch in that context.
That's like the menu. That's the setup
Yeah.
to the
It
menu,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
That sounds cool though.
That does
Yeah.
sound
Sounds
cool.
fun. Nice West
See,
Coast
I'm so
lighthouse.
extroverted. I go on vacation. I'm pretty much doomed. I'll talk to
Yeah.
anybody.
You're about to
God,
you're about to
no.
be like, you know,
Oh,
murdered
listen,
in the
I'll
woods.
make 5 seconds of small talk with anyone as long as you're not creepy. But you're not. I'm not visiting after. Like,
Yeah.
there's not- I know somebody that did this. Like literally, some like friends of a friend's who has a lot of parties. Like during the summer, I went over to his house and I showed up early. Huge mistake, John. And my friends weren't there. It was one of those like Venn diagram things.
Mhm.
And so I'm talking with the host and this other couple, and I'm like, "Oh, how do you guys know each other?" They met on vacation in like Connecticut or something, and just became friends. And they drove like 3 hours to come to this like barbecue at their house. I'm
Eric,
like,
peep,
this is how
some
you get
people
murdered.
make friends. Some
Yeah,
people make
like
friends.
that.
not that way.
It's-
Not that way, John. No.
I mean, you don't see if you do I talk to everybody on vacation, but I'm not seeing them again. I'm not trying to like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't make plans with them, but I'll talk to
You
them
stay
for more
there,
than 5 seconds.
and this is where we talk, and then I'm gonna go back over here. Yeah.
Well, this is
yeah,
so
and if you're
this
back
is,
next year, I'll see you. Yeah.
Yeah.
this is one of the differences in this film, and I would say it was for the worse, but it at least like I think does give more context to this relationship that gets built is that we get a lot more background on Ben and Luis's relationship.
Yeah.
To the extent that stuff is in the first one, it's definitely like less, you know, and like so, you know, it's maybe like a third as much. Here it is like very forefront that their relationship is on the rocks. You know, he's having
His
all
job
these
struggles.
exactly like he's having all these like personal, you know, issues with his career. She's feels like she sacrificed. They're both living away from where like they're from the US, but they're like living alone. So they don't know anyone. They're very miserable. She was like cheating on like there's all this stuff. And so to me that at
She
least
gets
like
dick pics.
well, it gives it like more
It's only by
context. to, like,
text.
not like why you would do that. Like they clearly are people that like they want to make friends. They're like they don't know anyone, and they're just like, oh, here's like friends we made. You know, like because otherwise, like I don't know. That at least it was like context that worked for me here. And you're because the quality of the acting, you're like comfortable spending the time with these people.
Mhm.
It doesn't. In my mind, it did not, and this lends credence to Eric's like reshoots theory. it doesn't actually like come together in a super cohesive way. You get
Right.
this like sequence where Patty is confronting her in front of everybody about the text and like basically doing some like button pushing. And then she like blows up and goes on this whole thing about how they're not going to be together, which like was weird in and of itself in my mind. But then it's like,
This is the scene where they're trying to pretend that they don't know so they can leave.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, but like all of it, like then it's like you have all this stuff where they have to like defend themselves. And to me, a lot of it was Ben as, you know, and I think some of the coverage of this film was like, you have the like alpha male and the like beta male situation. And Matilda, you kind of hinted at it. And that stuff is, it's like, again, turned up to like 11 here. It's turned up to like obvious American film
I
goer
was wondering.
level. Yeah. Compared
There's
to
more subtlety there in the original, I think is
Yeah.
what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
yes, but where I was going is like it's not that it like pays off in any interesting way. It's just sort of like it's there. It's like put there for us to like see. You have this moment where Ben is
Also,
saved by
the wife
Luis.
ends up murdering everyone.
Yeah, but then he has the moment where he is able to like be a hero and like jump off the roof and like get the ladder to like save everyone.
Jump off the roof and just hurt himself in the most ridiculous.
Well,
You got to tuck and roll, John. You don't just
dude,
go. You
I
don't
don't
just
think there's
fold like
any
a fucking
way.
accordion.
I don't know that there's any way you're falling off that like it's like a third story roof without like spraining an ankle at minimum.
Yeah.
He literally.
I
just
wanted
went,
her to fall on her, him to fall on her, to just like
Yeah.
use
That's
her
what I
as
was
the
hoping
pad.
too.
Yeah, that would have been. I don't know. So like, it just I
Doesn't
don't
that
know.
happen in Barbarian or something?
They, like,
He uses her to break his
and
fall or
they're like
something.
they're on like a tower. Or it's like a tower
Like
at
at
the
the
end.
end.
Yeah. I don't know. It just to me like there's a lot of that stuff that didn't pay off in a sort of like cleaner, cohesive way. Which
Yeah.
again, maybe because they were reworking it on the fly or after the fact, but
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I just really connected a lot with the character of Ben in this one than the character in the first one because of that stuff that was coming through clear. It helped me just connect to that character, and you feel kind of sorry for him specifically with everything that's going on. But I think that does change the dynamic because I don't remember the couple in the original having like that fierce of a marriage problem or anything like
No.
that.
Mm.
Yeah. It felt to me a little bit like the kind of emotional beat you get in a disaster movie that I do not want in my disaster movie. You know, where there's like an estranged dad and a daughter and like
It is.
Yeah.
what was it? Like
It is the same
San
dynamic
Andreas,
though.
they get back together.
2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I remember from the original
All
though
of
is
them.
similar dynamic of like the husband doesn't believe the wife is the first one who's uncomfortable. The husband is the one who keeps pushing like no it's fine whatever that
Mhm.
they kind of do that in this film too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then but then it sort of reverses at some point. They do all the same bits in this the portion of the film that's the same. They hit all the notes, like
But
from the meat to the restaurant to the dancing and the fire scene to like the kid in the bed. Although James McAvoy is not naked, nearly naked, not naked. The guy in the original is naked. And they also repeat the bunny thing, which is like the most infuriating scene in the history of cinema where they drive back for the fucking bunny. I love my kids. At the point that I'm that creeped out, I'm not going back for that bunny.
Dude, that girl can scratch her arm off. We're not going back for this bad bunny.
I'll buy you the biggest bunny money can buy.
Like take a fucking whatever, like Klonopin. you're like go to sleep. The no, the other one of the other big changes here, because you're right, it hits a lot of the notes. The other change though is that everything is revealed to the daughter. So like the daughter is the one that like finds out that they're serial killers. In the original, isn't it the father? He like is out there, like the kid shows him the cut off tongue, and that happens much later in the original,
Right.
and that becomes the moment. And then I think the father sneaks into the like murder shed.
So here's the difference.
Finds
all
the
of that
pictures.
happens like towards the end of the third act. It's at night.
Yeah.
They're like starting to try to they're like I don't know if it's
they had already tried to
I don't know
leave,
what precipitates it.
Yeah.
But the kid showing the tongue is like the catalyst for just the next 15, 20 minutes where we end up like at the end.
Yeah, that
Whereas
was
in
the trigger
here-
for the dad.
It's like random middle of the day, and the kid pulls the girl into the murder barn, and then she tells the parents, and that's where the whole movie just turns and becomes like something else.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention in the first like 30 to 40 minute mark, the kid's already turned to Scoot and showed him his tongue, and Scoot's only reaction was oh.
Mhm.
Also, I think it's literally, I do not buy that a nonverbal person could in any way like make another person understand just by being like that's not how fucking language works. I'm sorry.
'cause he
Like,
doesn't-
this is the most complicated, insane thing ever that he's just able to like flip a couple pages and she's like, oh,
He doesn't even speak. I like that he doesn't even speak English, and they had this like moment
Yeah.
where he tries to write like a letter or like a note to her, and she just can't even read it because it's in Danish or whatever, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Doesn't work. Straight
yeah.
doesn't.
And it's a bummer. 'cause
Matilda,
the
next
ass is
time you're
great.
back, you gotta watch the original and then.
Oh yeah,
give us your-
definitely.
It's so grim. It's crazy how grim it is.
Yeah.
It's,
also
I can't
felt
even
too-
come up with like a good comp of like what another movie that goes that dark.
Yeah.
And in the
I'm sure there are.
original, is the couple that's American in this movie, are they English? Like, is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
horror of politeness is really like culturally baked in also
Mhm.
there? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
They I also thought, and it's due to the ending, I really liked McAvoy, and we saw him doing this McAvoy thing where he's starting to get more and more intense as the movie goes on, which usually leads to a really big entertaining explosion from him. But as you get into this ending and the changes they made, you see a lot of built of him, you know, the strain and the rage, and then he just kind of walks around the farm for 20 minutes slowly while everybody else is running around, and he happens to show up in time. I thought that was, you know, having been so captivated by him at the first half of this movie, when we get to that, it's like, well, that was a build up for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Even on
Well,
that,
no, like him drinking so much that he passed out. Like I don't like that. Was like a whole different look than
Yeah.
we get, you know, from in it, you know. But yeah, I don't know.
Love it. All right. Would you recommend this, Matilda? John?
Not really.
No, I recommend the original instead.
Casey?
I'll recommend the original instead too.
Yeah. No, I don't recommend either. Vacation horror. I'm not into it. First one's great. I don't want you to watch it. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. Some good YouTube comments this evening, John. First up, Eric is 100% correct on
Oh
vacation.
my god. I
Now-
just don't get it.
Let me get this straight. I like taking off from work.
Mhm.
I do not want to go on vacation. I'm all set for that.
Yeah. I prefer
like-
vacation. That's where my stuff is.
See?
It's blowing my mind. I can't even process the idea that you wouldn't like. You just don't like traveling. Is basically what it comes
Yes.
down
Yes. Yeah.
to. Okay.
I don't
Double
like the
text.
prep and getting ready and the packing and carting it to the airport and all that stuff.
No, it's exhausting and stressful, which I'm
Yeah.
I'm taking a break from my job.
Matilda, where
Then
are you?
you go on
pro
vacation and people-
I hope.
People talk to you and they're trying to
Yeah.
steal your tongue. Just saying.
I
Levi,
kind of like it. You know, I go back to the same place every year, and that kind of like splits the difference because it's a familiar place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm totally down with that. Like we did 7 or 8 years camping at Hocking Hills with the Night of Living podcast crew. I was always
Yeah.
down for that because I knew
I
it
was
was gonna be
28.
fun. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
You know, fucking old. Levi, I'm more of a staycation man myself.
All right, guys.
And
You know.
Jace, the first one didn't even get an honorable mention, John, in the year ender.
Really?
That's what
Hold
he says.
on. Stand by. I have the year-ender list pulled up, which we will discuss.
Renee says James McAvoy literally carried this whole movie on those big, strong, swole shoulders. I mean, he is jacked. He's
Yeah,
huge
it's
in this
wild.
movie.
It's wild.
I feel like the bikini briefs did a lot of character development. Also.
Yeah, he's got some
In this
real
movie.
slutty man shorts.
Sentient bikini briefs. Yeah.
It's funny looking at his IMDb. I don't see anything upcoming that looks like it would be call for him to be that beefy either. So
Right.
I
Is he
think
like
Schnars was
Canyon
right.
2
I
or
think
something?
he's just been lifting weights since Split.
Sounds right.
We got an email from Jace while you're looking, John. Sorry. Feels like everyone is in a great mood today. This is a guess, but I just can't. You're wrong, actually. But I just can't have that when I'm in a complete rage at the moment. I need everyone to join my outrage. So look with me at Rotten Tomatoes 200 best horror movies of all time. This might be the worst thing I've ever read. Here are some highlights. Number 10, A Quiet Place. Right ahead of Halloween at 11.
Wait,
Late-
Halloween 1 or
Yes.
like the original?
Number 25, Late Night with the Devil. Number 31, A Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh Lord.
Stop.
Number 38, Talk to Me. Number 79, Werewolf by Night. Which is that's Marvel?
Oh,
thing,
it's
apparently?
that was like
Yeah.
a TV show. It was like a 4-parter, I think. On
Number 99, Don't Breathe. 161, Black Phone. 176, Saw 10.
I don't like. Is the point that some of these are too high or too low? I mean,
Way too high. Every one of those is too high.
all right. I mean, agreed.
Well,
Here's
so he's
the
got
thing.
more. He's got more.
You just can't go to Rotten Tomatoes. It's like a
Well,
terrible website.
I have a thought on this, but let
Okay.
me
Go ahead. I'm
let
sorry.
him get
I'm
his
sorry.
bid
I
in,
didn't mean to
John.
interrupt the email.
Jesus Christ.
I
And in the
know.
meantime, compared to these actual classics, Nightmare on Elm Street 48, The Fly 58, Cabin in the Woods 60, Hereditary 85, TCM 94, Barbarian 101, The Thing 112. I mean, I love Barbarian, but ahead of The Thing, let's not get fucking crazy here. The Witch 120, The Shining 121, like The Shining, like for real.
At 121.
Here's my point though,
That's
because this is
bonkers.
probably purely numerical. They literally probably just set some AI to making this list based on Rotten Tomato rankings, and they've got basically 100-point system. Like it's 10, but it's point. There's 10 points in each one. It's 100 points. So like, and this is like score inflation over time. This is 12-year-olds reviewing movies. Like,
Yeah. No, there's
just-
a
it's bullshit.
whole universe of like, pay to play critics where you pay them and then they write you a good review. That's how like a lot of movies will start with like a 70 and then they end up with like a 40 if you actually go back and check, because all the studios know you need your ranking to be you need to be fresh for like opening weekend, but after that
and then it doesn't matter.
there's only so much you can do. I mean, if a movie's like truly shitty, you just like give up. And old movies, Rotten Tomatoes didn't even start tracking shit until like what, 2010, 2008. But like, I don't like The Shining. How many reviews are there even in there? Like 5? It's like ridiculous. They should all be, I mean, I'm sure they're not all glowing, but they should be, and whatever, it is what it is. That's whatever. Don't look at Rotten Tomatoes. Like full stop. Easy solution. The
Yeah.
Letterbox lists, if you go to Letterbox and you sort by ranking, like rating, film
Well-
popularity, like there's some like really interesting ways to like surface good stuff by year, by decade, and then all time. It's like actually very helpful. Sorry, rant over.
That's it from email. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, wait.
Oh, speak no evil. Here's the thing. I was the only one that had it on their list. but I did have it on my list that year, 2022, number 7. So you're right. Who was it? Jace corrected me, and he was correct.
John, I have an important date. First of all, next week we're doing Y2K. I'm very excited. Kyle Mooney, A24, craziness. Then Christmas week. Is that right?
No,
Holy
so
shnikes.
No,
it's
there's another week
Y2K.
between
There's
there.
2 more
Then
weeks.
Night Bitch is the week after Y2K.
Night
Mhm.
bitch.
And then Nosferatu, which we're not going to be able to. We're not going to have a show that week, I don't think, or we will.
Well,
which
but
this is what
I
you're
think we
getting
need to try to get it. We need to try to see it at least for year ender, right? Will we have time?
Don't worry about your boy here.
But is it okay for our lists if we? Because
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We can get. We can do the full announcement, but yeah.
Honestly,
We
I
will-
could go like on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There you go.
So, but the big deal, the thing to pay attention to here, the year ender, Friday, December 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We wanted to get it as deep into the month as we could. That means the audio version, I might just put it out on Saturday or something, but definitely by
Yeah.
Monday the 30th. And we remember that we stream that for like the public. So that it's a great time to send to your friends.
Yes, come join us. And it won't
Yes.
just be the 4 of us
It'll be a
this
party.
year.
That's
All of the
right.
zombie
We're
girls
having all of
joining
the
us.
zombie gals on with us this week. That
Yeah.
week it'll be the 3 of us and Matilda and Rachel and Ariel. So it'll
It's
be
going to
like,
be a bash.
since they're skewing the list every year anyway. We figured let's
I
have.
was gonna say,
We
I
figured
cannot
we gotta have
wait.
them on to talk about some of these movies we have literally never seen before.
When Rachel tries to get Hellhole onto the list, I'm just like having none of it.
Get ready for Night Bitch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm excited for Night Bitch.
I mean, just the fact that it's called that, you got me over. You won me over at least a little bit. Just calling
Yeah,
it Night Bitch,
yeah.
so I'm pretty excited.
Well, and you guys can all have your like Lisa Frankenstein like handhold party, and I can like sit off to the side, hold my nose.
I just-
Wow.
I just rewatched it. I think it might be going farther back up my list now that I've watched it again.
So crazy.
It's that good.
It's amazing. It's so good. Yeah.
The
I
best Valentine's date movie. So
I feel
good.
like I need to like rewatch it just to check myself, but
It's romantic, John.
I
You wouldn't
watched
get
it once and that was enough.
So romantic.
Ay, ay,
Matilda
ay.
gets it. All right, Casey, threads.
Yeah, we got we got one good one out there. We got another one from Deformed Za that I think we've already talked well to death. All he asks is why. So fair question, but I think we've covered that. We have one from Kellen Forever. Am I the only one who preferred this to the original? This is like the only time that the American softening of a foreign film really worked for me.
Mm-mm.
Hard
You
to
may have been
disagree.
the only one.
I don't agree with that one, but I wanted to read that one too because we have been in this similar situation. The one that stands out in my head is Let the Right One In, which I thought the American version actually was better than the original.
I disagree on that.
Better?
but it's
I don't know,
good.
but it's
It
very
is-
good.
It's very good
good.
in
It's
its own
good.
right. Yes.
Also, I'm now wondering when was the last time we gave something 4 thumbs down because that feels fairly rare.
Yeah,
Usually I'm a troll in there somewhere, just like, sure,
Mhm.
go see
It's
Night
been a
Owl.
It's been a
while
while.
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I usually like anything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, either
there were
Casey or
even-
I is getting in there with a thumbs up for most things. I feel like
There
Yeah.
were thumbs up. Oh, you know what it probably was? Strangers Chapter 1. Someone
Oh,
would have
yeah.
to
sucked
suck it.
might have
ass.
been.
Yeah, that movie sucked.
That movie
ass.
was so
That was
bad.
so bad. There's 2
So
more of
the
those coming next
Watchers?
year,
What about
John.
The Watchers.
Oh, The Watchers.
Yeah, the
I,
Watchers.
I'm
I
sure
feel
we
like
thumbs
Casey.
down
you
that.
might
I
have
wasn't
been a
on that
thumbs-
one.
Oh, okay.
That thing was god awful too.
I have
Yeah.
seen it. It's not going on my list.
Okay. Good.
I think we should go back to doing the worst movie of the year, John.
I mean,
It's for the
look,
haters.
the problem, we ended up having to give it up for, but, yeah.
That's
I think that's all we
toxic
got on threads.
positivity, John.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There were some real screamers.
More things should be told how bad they are.
Yeah. Eric, I think it's your turn, bro.
Yeah, that's it for
That's
threads.
it for threads. Holy moly! Sorry, I did not catch
Sorry.
that. All right. Oh, John, Spotify Rap Day came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am hi-fi, John. I am my
Mhm.
own number 3 most listened to artist of the year.
I was surprised it was only number 3.
John, it's like they say make music you want to hear, and I guess
Mhm.
that means I'm doing it.
Well, I just assumed you had one of those machines that was just playing it on loop, trying to get your numbers up a little bit.
No,
so-
that's me legitimately listening to my own
Yeah, yeah.
music like daily.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's your burner accounts that do the streaming. The constant plan.
Literally
I'm
just me.
kidding.
If you did though get hi-fi on your Wrapped, please tag me, or your Apple, whatever they call the weird Apple thing.
I think it's called Rewind. I think I
Sure.
saw Reload maybe.
Hmm.
Something like that.
But yeah, please, and tag my personal one, Eric BGH, in it. There is a hi-fi Instagram that I haven't used in like 3 years, so it's too much. I don't have the energy for that, John. All right. Why didn't McAvoy win an Oscar for Split? That dance as the kid personality deserved it alone. This is from Brian Wolford. He is amazing in Split. He really was.
Yeah.
Imprezia says, because every couple of years we get insane McAvoy in a movie. We should be so lucky. It's true. 2 more. Polly Muller. If you had to give up the ability to speak, see, or hear, which one would you choose?
Maybe
gonna
here.
This is going to sound weird for somebody who makes music, but I think it's here.
Yeah. Well, speaking, I could probably do without speaking if I could hear.
I
and
talk
see.
way too much, and I enjoy hearing
think it's
myself talk way
speak.
too much.
Yeah, I might go speak too. I'm telling them. I think I'm changing my
No.
vote. McAvoy's Scottish, by the way.
Although,
Mm.
if I couldn't speak, maybe people would stop talking to me.
You could just pretend you can't speak and see how that goes.
Yeah, totally.
It's, it's there for you.
No tongue.
Oh,
Sorry.
that would be bad.
Last question. Would this have been more sinister if McAvoy used his natural Scottish accent? Maybe.
It's true. Why do they have him do
Yeah.
it? Like,
I mean, it would
Casey.
have worked for the locations.
Casey, I got some breaking news here for you.
Uh-oh.
RJLE Films and Shudder set wide release for slasher Clown in a Cornfield from Tucker and Dale versus Evil's Eli Craig and Smile
Yes.
producers.
I saw that and I'm excited. I've read that book.
Nice.
It's gonna be a B movie. It's gonna be silly, but it's fun. Or it should be fun. The book was fun.
Love it. John, Let the Right One In, number 2 on the Rotten Tomatoes list.
The original?
That's a good question. No, because wasn't it Let Me In? Wasn't that the
Yeah,
original?
Let Me
The
In
original
was
was Let Me In.
Yeah.
And then Jay says,
No,
last
Let
four-
Me In was the remake. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Last 4 thumbs down was The Crow.
Okay. That
That
was the other
tracks.
one that was definitely.
That was one of the.
For-
That was an aggressively terrible film.
It was
Damn, Jace
one
knows this
amazing
stuff
scene though.
better than we do.
What was the amazing scene again in The
That
Crow?
like fight scene on the stairs.
Oh yeah, when he started ripping shit up at the end. Yeah, for sure. All right, y'all. Matilda, where can people find you?
People can find me over at Zombie Girls, GRRLZ, on all of the socials. I don't know if we're on Blue Sky yet. I think so. Now that there's like the social media shuffle. I don't know what's going on with that. Ariel and Rachel are a little more in charge, but yeah, you can find us over there.
And
Sound
you
like
can
me.
we can find you here on the 27th
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
for our year-end spectacular.
I'm excited to be invited.
Mhm.
So
gonna be
It's
excited.
gonna be fun.
All right, that's gonna do it for BGH. Next week,
Y2K.
Y2K. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you then.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.